She sneered. Your father was just a humble farmer. My family owns the mills. I said, I know my history. When the banks foreclosed on her family's mills, the new owner was revealed. The farmers' cooperative my father founded, and I now control. I, 35 male, am still processing what happened at my ex-fiancé's family dinner last Sunday. Writing this from my apartment while Catherine's engagement ring sits in its box on my kitchen counter, waiting to be returned. Catherine, 32, and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 6 months. She comes from what she calls old money. Her family, the Westbrooks, own 3 grain mills and a feed processing plant in our region. Been in the family for generations. Me? I'm the son of a farmer who died when I was 22. The relationship was good at first. Catherine seemed different from her family. Down to earth, didn't care about the class difference. Or so I thought. Things started changing after we got engaged. Little comments here and there. You should dress better for these events. Maybe don't mention your background to my father's business associates. Can you not talk about commodity prices at dinner? Last Sunday was her father's 65th birthday. Big formal dinner at their estate. I'd bought him a nice bottle of whiskey, $200, which was a stretch, but I wanted to make an effort. During dinner, her father Wallace started his usual routine of talking down to me. But this time, Catherine didn't stay quiet like she usually did. She joined in. You know, Wallace said, looking at me, I've been thinking about your wedding. We should probably have it at the country club, more appropriate than that barn venue you suggested. The barn venue is beautiful, I said. Plus, it's owned by a friend who's giving us a great deal. Catherine laughed. Not a nice laugh. Oh, honey, we're not having our wedding in some barn. What would people think? It's a restored historic venue, I said. That's when she said it, with this sneer on her face. Your father was just a humble farmer. My family owns the mills. There are certain standards we need to maintain. The whole table went quiet. Even her mother, Eleanor, looked uncomfortable. I know my history, I said quietly. What's that supposed to mean? Wallace asked. Just that I know exactly where I come from. And where you come from, too. Catherine rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. We're just saying that our families operate in different circles. Farmers need mills. Mills don't need individual farmers. Interesting perspective, I said. Especially considering your mills are leveraged at 85% debt-to-asset ratio and you missed 2 loan payments this quarter. Wallace's face went red. How dare you? Public records, I said. Banking commission filings. Your refinancing applications were denied by 3 banks last month. Catherine stood up. Stop it. You don't know anything about our business. I know you've been operating at a loss for 18 months. I know you've been selling equipment to make payroll. I know the only reason the banks haven't foreclosed yet is because harvest season is coming, and they're hoping you can generate enough revenue to make it worth their while. Get out, Wallace said. I stood up. Looked at Catherine. Is this really who you are? She lifted her chin. I'm a Westbrook. Maybe if your father had been more than just a humble farmer, you'd understand what that means. I left, but not before saying, my father was indeed a humble farmer. He was also the founder of Plains Agricultural Cooperative, the organization I've been running as executive director for the past 5 years, the same cooperative that just secured a $15 million credit line for strategic acquisitions. The look on their faces was interesting. Update 1. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely insane. First, Catherine tried to salvage things. Showed up at my apartment Monday morning after the dinner, but not to apologize. Oh no, she came to explain reality to me. You embarrassed my family, she said. You need to apologize to my father. I embarrassed them? By stating facts? By discussing private business matters at dinner. That was incredibly low class. Lower class than insulting my dead father? She actually rolled her eyes. I was just being honest. Your father was a farmer. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's not pretend it's the same as owning mills. You're right, I said. It's not the same. Farmers actually produce something. She went off, called me ungrateful, said her family had accepted me despite my background, that I should be thankful they even let me in their home. Catherine, I said, we're done. I want the ring back. She laughed. The ring? That $3,000 ring? Keep it. It's probably worth more than your truck. The ring was actually $8,000, but I didn't correct her. Says a lot that she never even looked at it closely enough to know what it was worth. She left, but not before saying, "When my family's mills are processing every kernel of grain in this region, and your little cooperative is begging us for fair prices, remember this moment." Tuesday, I get a call from our wedding venue, the barn. Cancelled. Catherine had called them claiming I was mentally unstable, and she feared for her safety. The owner, my friend Rick, was confused but had to follow protocol and ban me pending investigation. Cost him a booking, cost me a friend's trust until I could explain. Wednesday, Catherine's brother Theodore shows up at my office at the cooperative. Kid's 28, never worked a day in his life, but acts like he's some business mogul. "You need to stay away from our family," he says. I am staying away. And stop spreading lies about our financial situation. I haven't told anyone anything. Public records are public. He leaned over my desk. "You think you're smart? You think your little cooperative matters? We process 60% of the grain in this region. You need us. Actually, we truck our members' grain to Henderson Mills, 2 counties over. Better prices, honest weights." His face went red. "When we own Henderson too, you'll be sorry." "With what money, Theo?" He stormed out, but not before knocking over my coffee mug. Real mature. Thursday was when things got interesting. I get a call from my board president, Agnes, 72, owns 800 acres, tough as nails. "We need an emergency board meeting," she says. "Tomorrow morning." I show up Friday and the entire board is there. 7 farmers who together own about 15,000 acres. Westbrook Mills is in trouble, Agnes says without preamble. Real trouble. Turns out Wallace had been desperately calling around trying to secure grain contracts for harvest season. Offering terrible prices but with immediate cash payments, a clear sign of desperation. Some of our members had been approached. "He offered me 30% below market," said board member Hank. "But with cash up front, told me the cooperative couldn't match it." "Can we?" Agnes asked me. "We don't need to. We have the credit line, remember? We can offer fair market prices and reliable payment." "That's not why we're here," Agnes said. She pulled out a folder. "First National Bank called me yesterday. They know I'm board president. They want to know if we'd be interested in acquiring assets." My heart stopped. "The mills? They're moving to foreclose. Wallace has 30 days to pay $3.2 million, or they're seizing the assets. The bank would rather sell to us than run a grain mill." "Do we want that kind of debt?" another board member asked. I pulled up our financials. With the credit line and our reserve fund, we could make an offer, but it would need to be unanimous board approval. The discussion went on for 3 hours. In the end, the vote was 6-1 in favor of making an offer if the foreclosure went through. The one holdout, Ernest, said he didn't want us to become what we've always fought against. Fair point. But Agnes made a better one. We'd be owning it collectively. Every member would have a stake. That's the opposite of what they are. Saturday, I get a text from Catherine. "Whatever you're planning, stop it. This is our family's legacy." I didn't respond, but I did forward it to my lawyer, just in case. Update 2. The last month has been a masterclass in watching entitled people lose their minds. The foreclosure notice was published in the paper. Wallace had 30 days to pay, and everyone knew he couldn't. The Westbrooks went into full panic mode. Catherine showed up at my apartment again, this time with her mother Eleanor. They tried a different approach. Good cop, bad cop. Eleanor: "Thomas, you are almost family. Surely you can help us." Me: "Help how?" "The cooperative has money. You could loan it to us." Me: "That's not how cooperatives work. I can't just hand out member funds." "But you control it." Me: "No, the board controls it. I execute their decisions." Catherine got nasty then. "This is about revenge, isn't it? Because I hurt your little feelings?" "No, this is about business. Your family's mills have been underpaying farmers for decades, manipulating weights, charging excessive processing fees. The cooperative exists specifically because of businesses like yours." Eleanor tried tears. "We'll lose everything. Our home, our reputation." "You'll lose the mills. The house isn't collateral. And reputation? That's been gone for years." Catherine exploded. "You think you've won? You think you can run mills? You're just farmers. Just farmers who apparently understand debt-to-asset ratios better than your Harvard-educated brother." They left, but the harassment didn't stop. Theodore started spreading rumors that I'd somehow sabotaged their business. Said I'd been feeding information to their competitors. Complete BS, but some people listened. Then came the legal threats. Wallace hired some fancy law firm to send cease and desist letters to the cooperative, claiming we were engaging in predatory business practices and tortious interference. Our lawyer, Janet, who also happens to be a member's daughter, laughed when she read it. They're grasping at straws. You can't tortiously interfere with a bank foreclosure. That's not how any of this works. 2 weeks before the deadline, Wallace tried one last move. He called an emergency meeting with all the local farmers, even non-cooperative members. Promised them guaranteed contracts, better prices, partial ownership if they helped him save the mills. I attended, sitting in the back. Wallace was desperate, sweating through his expensive suit. These mills have been in my family for 80 years, he said. We've been partners with this farming community all that time. Old farmer Stanley stood up. Partners? You docked me 5% for excessive moisture during the drought of 2018. What moisture, Wallace? Others started chiming in. Years of grievances, rigged scales, hidden fees, delayed payments. Wallace tried to defend himself, but the damage was done. He'd spent decades burning bridges, and now he needed those bridges. Catherine saw me in the back and marched over. This is your doing. You poisoned them against us. No, I said. Your family did that all by yourselves. The deadline came. Wallace couldn't pay. The bank moved to seize the assets. Our cooperative submitted a bid, $4.8 million, for all 4 facilities. There were 3 other bidders, but ours was the strongest. We had cash ready and a business plan. The bank preferred us because we'd keep the mills operational, preserving jobs and the local economy. Wallace made a last-ditch effort to find an investor. Even flew to Chicago to meet with some venture capital group. They turned him down flat. The mills had been losing money for too long. Yesterday was the announcement. Plains Agricultural Cooperative's bid was accepted. We take possession in 30 days. The local newspaper ran the story on the front page. Farmers Cooperative acquires Westbrook Mills, tables turned in historic sale. Catherine sent me one last text. You destroyed our family. I responded this time. Your father destroyed your family. I just bought the pieces. Final update, it's been 2 months since the cooperative took ownership of the mills. Time to wrap this story up. The transition was eventful. Wallace had to hand over the keys to me personally. Bank's requirement. His hands were shaking. Catherine was there, refusing to look at me. You know, Wallace said, my grandfather built these mills. And my father built the cooperative that now owns them, I replied. He just walked away. No drama, no threats. Just defeated. We kept most of the employees. They weren't the problem, the management was. The mill workers were actually relieved. Turns out, the Westbrooks hadn't given raises in 5 years while cutting benefits. Our first act, implementing profit sharing for all employees. Second, upgrading the scales to digital. No more creative weighing. Catherine tried one more stunt. She went to the State Agricultural Commission, claiming we were creating a monopoly. Problem was, we only owned 4 mills in a state with hundreds. Plus, as a cooperative, we're technically owned by thousands of farmers. The commission dismissed her complaint in 2 days. Theodore posted a rant online about how socialist farmers had stolen their birthright. It went viral, but not how he hoped. Farming Twitter roasted him. Someone dug up old posts of him bragging about overcharging farmers. The meme of him saying, farmers need mills, mills don't need farmers, next to a photo of our acquisition announcement became legendary in agricultural circles. Eleanor, surprisingly, reached out last week. Not to apologize, but to ask if we'd consider hiring Theodore. He needs to learn the value of work, she said. We don't do nepotism here, I told her, but he can apply like anyone else. He won't, we both knew that. The best part? Our first quarter running the mills. We increased farmer payments by 12%, reduced processing fees by 20%, still made a 15% profit. Turns out, when you're not bleeding money to maintain 3 luxury cars, a yacht, and a country club membership for the whole family, mills can be quite profitable. Catherine left the state, moved to the East Coast, according to mutual friends. Posted something about returning to her roots and embracing new opportunities. Translation: living with her aunt and looking for another rich family to marry into. Wallace and Eleanor sold their house. Not because they had to, it wasn't collateral, but they couldn't afford the maintenance and taxes anymore. They bought a normal suburban home. Wallace got a job as a consultant for an agricultural finance firm. Humbling, I'm sure, but honest work. Last week, Agnes invited me to dinner. She's become something of a grandmother figure since my dad died. Your father would be proud, she said. Not because you took down the Westbrooks, but because you did it the right way. Through collective action, fair business practices, and patience. She's right. Dad always said the cooperative wasn't about fighting the mills. It was about farmers controlling their own destiny. Now we control both. The ring? I sold it. Donated the money to the local FFA chapter. They're using it to send kids to agricultural college. Felt appropriate, turning a symbol of entitlement into opportunity for the next generation. Got a letter from Catherine's lawyer last week. She wants her personal items from the mills. Apparently, she decorated one of the offices. We boxed up her vision board, her essential oil diffuser, and her live, laugh, love sign and shipped them to her aunt's address. Petty? Maybe. But when you sneer at someone's humble farmer father, then watch your family's empire get bought by the organization that farmer founded. Well, karma has a sense of humor. The mills are thriving now. We've added a organic certification line, started a young farmer discount program, and we're exploring adding a flour mill for direct-to-consumer sales. Every profit goes back to the members, the farmers. Wallace was wrong about one thing. Mills do need farmers. Without us, they're just expensive buildings with fancy equipment. Catherine was wrong too. My father wasn't just a humble farmer. He was a visionary who understood that collective power beats individual wealth every time. I'm dating someone new now, a veterinarian who grew up on a dairy farm. She laughs at my jokes about commodity prices. Her family doesn't own mills. They don't sneer at farmers. They are farmers, and proud of it. The Westbrook name is still on the mills, carved in stone above the main entrance. We're keeping it. Agnes says it's a good reminder. No matter how high you build your castle, if you build it on the backs of others, eventually they'll reclaim the ground. My father, the humble farmer, would have liked that.